This video introduces the RBT Input Builder. This is a small standalone tool that generates the input XML file for running the RBT command line version. That's the version that's used within the CHAMP program and also generates EMAP metrics. So this is a small standalone executable. I've dragged a copy of it here onto my desktop. There's no installation, it's just the exe that you need. I've also here got Windows Explorer open with a CHAMP survey GeoDatabase here. So the goal of this exercise is to use the tool to generate a little XML file in this folder that I can then run this survey GeoDatabase through the RBT. So I go ahead and double click the tool and this form opens, and it's going to lead me through all the inputs I need to provide to generate that input file. So first of all, site name, you can leave it with just site or enter your name here. Any punctuation or special characters will get stripped off by the RBT when it runs, but you can leave them in here. The RBT input file, this is actually the XML file that this tool is going to generate. So I want that to be in this folder, so I'm just going to browse out to that and generate that file. So I want to go to I'm just going to call it input.xml. The temp folder, this is the folder where the command line RBT is going to generate all of its temporary files. I've got this set up on my system here, but if I click this temp button, it will actually default to my system temp folder. So you can use that briefly, or you can browse out and specify whatever temp folder you want. I recommend that this folder is high up on your operating system, somewhere, C:\RBT temp or something high up. Definitely have no spaces in it, and keep this as high up your chain as possible, because path names will be built off of it, and if they get too long, the RBT will choke on those. The next thing is where I want the outputs to be. Notice that this is defaulted to the same place as my input file. So what this is, the path this is leading me down is basically, here is my survey GeoDatabase. I'm going to get an input file here, and when the RBT runs, all the outputs will be put here as well. So that's fine. I'm going to leave that as the default, and the default RBT output file is results.xml, and the default log file is log. Again, those things are going to come in this folder where my survey GeoDatabase is. So that's fine. I'm going to leave those. You can override them if you want to. The next thing is you have to add at least one visit for each run of the RBT, so I'm going to go ahead and add one here. The visit needs a name, and again, a bit like the site name, its spaces and special characters will get stripped off here, but you can edit that as you need. And then the survey GeoDatabase is actually this GeoDatabase right here. This is the one that contains my CHAMP protocol topo data. Okay, so I'm going to browse out to that. Notice that this window does actually auto-navigate to the right folder for you, the same one where my results are. And so all you need to do is basically click the GDB. It's just this window doesn't scroll properly, unfortunately, but yeah, just go grab that GDB. The radio buttons here, you can choose between either calculating metrics. You can put the RBT into two different modes. You can either calculate metrics, or you can make the DEMs in the survey GeoDatabase orthogonal. Calculating metrics does what it suggests, is that it's going to calculate all the CHAMP and EMAP metrics, and this is the mode I recommend you leave it in. If you have a DEM that's not orthogonal, and down the road you want to perform change detection, you can choose that option. If you want to find out more about that, I recommend looking up the geomorphic change detection tool, gcd.joewheaton.org. Next is channel units. You can choose how many channel units your survey GeoDatabase has. This tool is just going to create random channel unit records. So in the output XML, as I have it now, there are going to be 6 channel units, and they're going to be randomly assigned between pools, fast turbulent, non-turbulent. The important thing is that this number matches the number of records in your channel unit feature class inside your survey GeoDatabase. Okay, so you might have to open ArcMap, look inside that channel unit feature class, and look at the number, the maximum number you have, and set that number here. You can always edit these afterwards in the input XML file, edit them by hand. So it's not critical that you get the right types, and it's not critical, sorry, it is critical that you get the right number. If you just want to run EMAP metrics, you can set this down to 0 and no channel units will get created. So I'm just going to create 2 now just for this demo. Pick the field season for your data. This is important because it will change some of the values in the input file. I'm going to say that this is a 2012 survey, and the final thing is whether this visit is primary or not, and that basically means, is this the main visit that you're going to be performing any change detection on. So you can have multiple visits within this site in the same year and across years. Within each year, only one can be primary. If you're just calculating metrics, this is not really important, but it is important for performing change detection. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK there. So I've got my one visit down here. You can see the properties showing up. I'll just explain these before I click OK here. You can open RBT input file afterwards, so I recommend leaving that checked. It's going to take the input file that we create and it's going to actually open it in a text editor. And the final checkbox here is, if you uncheck this, the Input Builder tool will stay open after the file is generated, so you can run it repeated times. I'm going to leave that checked because for this demo I'm just going to create one. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK, and the file has been generated. Notice that I have Notepad++ installed. It will try to open the file in that text editor. If you don't have it, it'll just use Notepad. So this is the file that we generated, and you'll start to see some of the inputs that we put in. So here's the site name that we entered, the visit name, here's the path to the survey GeoDatabase, and then the data dictionary of all the things inside that GeoDatabase. Here are the channel units. There's 2 of them. One came out as fast turbulent riffle, the other as fast turbulent rapid. You're welcome to edit those before you run this through the RBT and change the classification of them. But again, make sure that these unit numbers start at 1 and go up to the maximum number in your feature class. If you don't have channel units, again, you can just delete that section of the file, and it'll run through and do EMAP metrics for you. And down here are all the other parameters that the RBT needs. Those have been put in for you and defaulted. Again, if you know what you're doing, you can edit those. Okay, and so there is the file that we generated. So now the next step would be to run the RBT executable with the full path to this input file on the command line. And if you do have any spaces in your path, you'll need to wrap this in quotes to run it through the RBT. And that is the RBT Input Builder.